Welcome back, Cat 5 class. Today we're going to go over Chapter 4, Creating Blocks in AutoCAD. There are no new assignments. You can keep working on your current handout unless you're already done. Okay, so this is a handout from the last class session when we first started Chapter 4. Okay, there are no new assignments for Chapter 4, just this one handout. Okay. All right, so we're going to learn how to create blocks in AutoCAD. So what's a block? Here's a quick example. You can draw whatever you like, and you can join it as one entity and it'll create a block. So you draw all your elements and then you're going to join them all together. We're not going to use the join command. We're going to use the block command to save this entity. It'll save it as one entity and then we can use it over and over again. Okay, so let's continue on. Okay, now AutoCAD does contain a library of blocks. Okay, so to take a look at them, we're going to go to the View tab. And we'll check out some of the tabs here. So there's a tab for architecture, construction, modeling, annotations, electrical, mechanical, civil, structural, etc. Okay, so there's some blocks already in AutoCAD. So to access these blocks, click on Tool Palettes. After you've gone to the View tab, go to Tool Palettes, give it a few seconds. It'll load the library, and you can pick from these existing blocks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just use an existing AutoCAD file that I currently have open. Okay, so let's go over to Annotate tab. Oh, my mistake. Go back. View tab. My mistake. View tab. Okay, so go to the View tab. Okay, so let's go to Tool Palettes. Click on it. Give it a few seconds to load the library, and here we go. We have the library. This is very useful for architecture, not so much for mechanical, but for architecture, it's awesome because they have doors, trees, toilets, windows, etc., even a car, aluminum windows. Let's go ahead and insert a aluminum window. So I am in the architectural tab. I'm going to go ahead and insert a window. Let me zoom out. Obviously this window is a lot larger than I expected. There it is. I'm just going to click anywhere and locate this window. Click. Okay, so let me double click on the wheel to do a zoom fit. So there's my window. Okay, cool thing about this window or this block, you can click on it and you can change it to a standard size. It can be a smaller size or a larger size. So these are standardized windows that you can easily order. Right? Okay, so there's a window. Let's insert a door. Okay, so we'll insert a door, and these are also standard doors. Oh, and it comes in with its own color. Okay, so let me place a door next to the window. I'm just going to guesstimate the location, right? Now let's put it here. Okay, so there's our door. And once again, we can click on the door. Let me move this over a little bit. I'm going to left mouse hold on and just drag it over. Okay, so we can click on the door and it'll give us standardized sizes, as you can see. Okay, let's go back to the window. Let's take the window and make it larger. Bam, there it is. Okay, let me hit escape to deselect. So these are blocks that somebody created and added these to our library of blocks. So let's see, we can also add a toilet, right? Maybe this is the restroom. Okay, let's add a toilet. Okay, let's say this is a fancy restroom, right? There it is. There's your toilet. If I click on it, they should have some. Ooh, they got different styles. Elongated plan, elongated side. Let's look at it from the side. Bam, there it is from the side. It's facing the wrong direction, but round or oval, elongated oval. Okay, so top view. Oh, didn't get a top view. Front view, there it is. Okay, so pretty cool. Hit escape to deselect. So there's our toilet. And let's say you wanted to make a fancy restroom. Maybe it's the master restroom. Let's insert some shrubbery, right? Trees. Okay, maybe you're in a fancy casino, right? So this would be a top view of a tree, for example, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and add a car. So I'm just randomly picking items to insert. Hey, there's a vehicle here. Click on vehicle. And hey, there we go. We have a vehicle. And click. And this looks like a Pontiac. I don't know. Is it a GTO? I don't know. 68, 69 GTO. I have no clue. There it is. Okay, so these are blocks that somebody created, joined all the elements. So they drew each element at a time, then joined them as one and saved it as a block. All right. So let's take a look at other stuff. So there's also an electrical tab. So electrical symbols. Obviously, these are going to be very tiny symbols with respect to the architectural ones. Let's go to civil. Okay, so we have some of the signs for civil engineering. Okay, for I'm guessing the construction of freeways and roads and some of the symbols used in the construction. We have structural. So we have I-beams, right? Those of you that go into a skyscraper building, large structures, parking structures, for example, you're going to be using I-beams. Unless you're using concrete. Okay, let's see what's the next one. Hatches. We'll talk about hatching later on when we do cross sections. That'll be towards the halfway point of the semester. Let's go back to the top. We have modeling. Oh, these are just symbols, I guess. Okay. Constraints. Annotations. And back to architectural. Architecture just has all the cool stuff, right? All right, and there's also metric. Actually, one that I do want to show you, let's go back to mechanical. We haven't actually looked at mechanical, is bolts. So mechanical has hex nuts, bolts, there's metric, and standard. Okay, so let's insert a bolt in an imperial, so using inches. I'm going to click on this bolt. And obviously, it's going to be very tiny in comparison to the vehicle, as you can see. So click. And if you click on it, you can pick different sizes, right? Different diameter sizes, lengths. Okay, so these are standard size bolts. Okay, if you want to insert a hex nut, let's zoom in, click on it, and we can pick different sizes. Oh, so this is metric. So anytime you see threads with the little m, or actually capital M, it's actually for millimeters, not meters. So let's go with M14. So this is a metric hex nut. Okay, let's go and see if there's a larger, oh, I don't see imperial hex nut. All right, so I just wanted to give you some examples of existing blocks. So here we have our library. Make sure you go to the View tab, Tool Palettes, and it will load our library of blocks. Okay, so now let's say we wanted to create one that we're going to use over and over again. Okay, a good example is maybe you want to create, if you're an architecture student, or you're going to be creating architectural drawings. Sometimes you want to create like shrubbery that you can use over and over again, or maybe some type of stone pattern for a front yard or backyard that you know you're going to use quite a bit. So to save time, it's worth creating blocks of items that you're going to use over and over again, especially in architecture. Okay, so let's learn how to create our own block. Okay, so let me just go over here to the side. And I'm going to draw some items. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this. I'm going to go back to the Home tab. Okay, I'm going to draw a circle. So let's say we're creating a driver here. There it is. Okay, let's add some features. Okay, let me use a different color. Let me use the hidden layer. So I'm just making stuff up, similar to what we have on the notes. And let's see, let me just change layers. I'm switching layers just so you can see, let me use the arc, that it doesn't all have to be in the same layer. Okay, so this driver is not so happy. Okay, so if we wanted to save this as a block, let's say we were going to use this face over and over again. Okay, so let's say we're ready to create blocks. So here are the blocks, or the block panel with the commands. Let's go back to the lecture notes. Okay, so we're going to be creating our own blocks. So we're going to select all the elements that we want to be part of the block. We can always go back and edit. And we're going to have to choose an insertion point. Okay, so I'll explain that in a minute. And we'll have to give it a name for our block. Again, a good example is creating trees that you're going to use over and over again for architectural drawings. If you're looking at it from the top view, or also referred to as a plan view. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and create a block. Okay, so if we go to the Insert tab, we get a lot more options, I believe, or we can stay in the Home tab and use Create Block. Write Block will allow us to save it so we can use later on newer drawings or other drawings that we have in our flash drive or desktop, right, that we've been working on. Okay, so let's create our block. Let's go back to AutoCAD. Okay, so here we do have the blocks panel. Let me go to the Insert tab instead. And here we have the blocks panel too. It just has more options. Okay, so here we have a lot more options with creating our own block. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a block. We can go here, or let's go to the drop down. These are existing blocks that we were using. The doors, windows, toilet, trees. So it remembers the last ones that we've been using: the car, the trees, etc. Hex nut, hex bolt. I know it's hard to see, it's being shown in yellow, but it remembers the last blocks that we used. But instead of, oh, I misclicked. Instead of inserting an existing block, we're going to create a block. Okay, so we're going to go to create, and then later on I'll show you how to save it. So that way you can use it later on in other drawings. Okay, so we're going to create the block. Create. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to select objects. Okay, so let's click here, select the objects that you want to be part of this block. So select. Okay, so here at the bottom left corner it's saying go ahead, select objects. So once again, we are going to select objects to be part of this block that we're creating. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the objects. Okay, so here's this unhappy face, right? Not happy, maybe the car's not starting, right? Maybe there's a dent on the fender of the car, something went wrong, so the driver's not happy. Okay, maybe it's out of gas. All right, so once we selected the items that we want to be part of this block, we're gonna hit enter, and it'll take us back to our block definition window here. So we selected the objects. Okay, so now we need an insertion point. So right now the default is 0, 0, 0, which is somewhere way down in the bottom left corner where the green vertical axis and the red horizontal axis intersect, which is way far down in the bottom corner. I don't want to use 0, 0, 0. I want to pick a point, and I'm going to pick the middle of the eyeball here. So I'm going to go pick a point for my insertion point. Click. Okay, so I'm going to pick, trying to pick the center. Let me turn on Object Snap. Oh, should have done Object Snap first. So I'm just going to guesstimate somewhere near the center of this eyeball here and click. Okay, so notice it gives me coordinates. These are the coordinates of the center of this eyeball. Okay. All right, so now let's give it a name. Okay, so I'm going to say unhappy face. And let's see if it accepts the space here between the two words. If not, we'll just remove the space. Okay, so let's see if we need to, let's leave it at unitless. Okay, so let's just go ahead and hit OK and accept it, and OK. Oh, didn't like the space, so I cannot use unhappy space face. Okay, so close. So I'm gonna have to go back here and remove the space between the two words, unhappy and face. Let me remove that. It's very picky when it comes to spaces and symbols when you're naming a layer, for example, or a block. Okay, let's try it again. Okay. Okay, so we're good, it saved it. Okay, so now let's say we wanted to add another happy face. Maybe you have the driver and the driver's spouse, right? Maybe they're all unhappy because maybe they got a flat tire, right? So let's go ahead and insert the block. So let's go to insert. Let's add a few more people, unhappy face. Okay, so yeah, the driver, spouse, right? And let's add a few kids back here, some grown kids. Let's insert another one. So insert unhappy face. I don't know, maybe it's one of the grandparents back here, right? Also unhappy in the back seat. Okay, so you can insert this block as many times as you want. The cool thing is, you're probably thinking, hey, why isn't it just easier to copy and paste, right? You can use, if you go up to the Home tab, you can always make copies. Isn't it just easier if you make copies? Yeah, you can make copies, but let me show you the cool thing about blocks. Okay, let's go back to the Insert tab is, we can edit blocks. So imagine you have all these faces. Imagine you have a dozen or 100 faces, right? Unhappy faces. And we're gonna go to Edit. Let's go back to our notes. Okay, so we're gonna go to Block Editor. Okay, so we can edit an existing block. And once you've done your changes, you can exit by clicking this button. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Block Editor. Okay, so go to Block Definition and go to Block Editor. Here it is. We're going to edit an existing block. Click on it. Okay, so which one do you want to change? You want to change the hex nut, hex bolt, the windows, the doors, the vehicle, the toilet, right? The trees, the shrubbery, etc. We're going to change the unhappy face, right? We're going to edit this one. Hit OK. Okay, so now we are in Block Editor. Okay, so let's say we fix the car and everybody's happy now, right? Everybody's happy. So instead of a sad face, let's throw in, yeah, happy face. Everybody's happy, right? Okay, see what a smile, what a big difference it makes. So now we're gonna make a happy face and we're gonna now exit. You can also change layers, for example. You can make a bunch of changes. You can add items if you like. Okay, so you can add or duplicate other items. Okay, besides editing, you can also add or remove some of the items. Okay, so let's go ahead and close. Hey, do you want to save the changes? Yes, let's save that happy face. And see, now they're all happy. See, that's what's cool about Block Editor. You can change the geometry. You can add or remove geometry. Okay, so that's what's cool about blocks, especially if you're going to use them over and over again. All right, so everybody's happy. Car's going, car's flying, right? Whole family's happy. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so we've created a block, right? So we created a block of a happy face. It was unhappy, now it's happy. Now we can also save it. So we can write the block, we can save it. It'll save it as an AutoCAD file. Okay, so we can go ahead and write the block. So later on we can use it for other drawings, especially for like example architectural drawings. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so now we're gonna, instead of creating the block, now we're gonna write the block. Okay, we're gonna save it as a separate file, write the block. Okay, so which one do we wanna write? Okay, so we already have an existing block, so click on block. Go to the drop down and let's look for unhappy face. Okay, so we're gonna take our block of unhappy, now it's happy face, and we're gonna save it. Okay, so we can save it. Okay, let's say I wanted to save it on my flash drive or on my desktop. I'll go ahead and save it in my chapter 4. CAD 5, chapter 4. Okay, I'll save it in my chapter 4 folder on happyface.dwg. So it's going to save it as an AutoCAD file, .dwg. And I'm going to save it. And okay. Okay, so don't forget where you save it. All right, so if I was to open up an old file, I'm going to go to the AutoCAD icon and open up one of our previous drawings. Let's pick something from chapter 4. Okay, so I'm opening up a new file. Okay, this is the last problem in your handout for chapter 4. Okay, let me go to Auto Space. Okay, so I'm going to open up my unhappy face. Well, now it's happy. Okay, so let's go back to AutoCAD icon. And it's not here, so let me go to my flash drive. I'll just go to Open. Okay, so should be in my flash drive, chapter 4, CAD 5. There it is. There's my unhappy, now happy face, and open. Okay, let me double click on the wheel. And there it is. Notice I used the center of its eyeball to insert. Okay. All right, so if we go to insert, oh, forgot to go to 416, problem 416. Let's see if I can insert that unhappy face. Go to insert. And it remembers some of the title blocks that we used recently. Let's go to recent blocks. See if it recognizes the unhappy face. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it does recognize the unhappy face. Okay, so let's go ahead and insert the now happy face. Notice it's using the center of the eyeball to insert it, right? Okay, you can see the cursor there right in the middle of the eyeball, and click right to locate it, and we're done. Okay, so you can use it in a new drawing just as we did, right? If we wanted to start a new drawing from scratch, go to Start. This will allow you to start a new drawing from scratch. Okay, anytime you start a new drawing from scratch, let's go to the Home tab. I want you to notice that there are no layers except for the default 0 layer, which cannot be deleted. So anytime you start with the new drawing, it needs to have a layer for you to be able to draw. Okay, so brand new drawing, just to show you that I can insert a block in a brand new drawing. Okay, so let's go to the Insert tab and let's insert a recent block, right? Recent one. There it is, unhappy. And I'm pretty sure you can go and look for a block if you don't see the one that you wanted to use. Pretty sure you can go into your flash drive or desktop. Okay, I'll pick unhappy, and there it is. Ta-da! And let's go ahead and close it. So it brought the unhappy face. Let me turn on my line weights. There it is, lights them up, right? All right, so even though, if you go back to the Home tab, even though we didn't have the layers, it's by inserting the block, it inserts the layers just like we did with the title blocks and borders. Remember when we inserted the title block and border, it also brought in the title block layer. Okay, so even though we didn't have these, it brought them in specifically for this block. Okay, let's say we wanted to insert a title block, right? So let's go back. I'm going to go ahead and open up my title block. Oh, title blocks, AutoCAD file. Okay, so if I wanted to put let's go with the B size, 11 by 17. B size, there it is. Select it, hit Control C on the keyboard to copy. Go to your new drawing. Right now it's called drawing number 1 because I haven't named it yet. And Control V as in Victor to paste. And obviously this is way too small, right? Okay, let me turn on Object Snap. There it is. Now typically you don't want to scale up a title block and border, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. I'm going to take this and see if I can scale it up. I'm going to scale it up so it can fit around our happy face. I'm going to scale it up. I'm going to pick the bottom corner 0, 0 to scale it up. Okay, so I'm going to make it double the size. So I'm going to type in 2 in the command line and enter. And there it is. Okay. And hit escape just to deselect. And you're going to notice that it recognizes that this block has its own layer called title block, right? So just like we made the happy face as a block, also the title block and border, somebody took the time to draw these lines, insert the text, right? And save it as a block. Okay, so same idea. All right, so let's go back to our notes. And oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I just showed you how to insert a block, right? After we saved it, you can insert it. You can also explode it. Okay, so you can explode an existing block. So if I go back, so this happy face, if I click on it, notice it's one entity, it highlights everything. You can explode it. Okay, so you can break it up into separate elements, so it's no longer a block. Okay, so we're going to hit the explode command right below the pencil eraser, explode. And it breaks it up now into separate entities. So it's no longer a block, it's been broken apart. Okay, so you do have the option to break up the entity as you saw. So now it's not going to be that happy anymore, right? Okay, hit escape. All right, so I'm going to end the lecture for creating blocks, chapter 4, creating blocks in AutoCAD. Okay, end of video.